June checked his reflection in the mirror one last time. His dark blue diplomatic uniform fit perfectly, the silver Earth emblem shining on his chest. Today was important. Today humans would meet the Nilari for the first time in an official setting. "How do I look, Snowball?" he asked, turning to the large white dog sitting patiently by the door. The Siberian husky tilted his head and gave a soft woof. His blue eyes seemed to say that June looked fine, but was worrying too much. Snowball always knew when June was anxious. "You're right," June said with a small smile. "I need to relax." He took a deep breath. The Harmony space station felt different from Earth. The air was cleaner, the gravity slightly lighter. Even after 3 weeks here, June still sometimes felt like he was walking in a dream. Snowball got up and nudged June's hand with his nose. The touch of the dog's cold nose against his skin helped ground him in reality. This was why June had brought Snowball on this mission. The therapy dog helped keep his anxiety under control during stressful situations, and first contact with a new alien species was definitely stressful. "The Nilari representative should be here soon," June said, checking the time on his datapad. "Remember to be on your best behavior." Snowball sat down again, his fluffy tail sweeping the floor. Most Earth animals weren't allowed on diplomatic missions, but Snowball was special. He was trained to be calm around all kinds of strange sights, sounds, and smells. That was important on a space station filled with dozens of alien species. The yow. Door chimed, announcing a visitor. "Right on time," June said, straightening his posture. "Door open." The door slid open with a soft hiss. Standing in the hallway was a being unlike any June had seen before, even in his xenobiology studies. The Nilari was small, barely reaching June's chest. She had a slender body covered in soft feathers that shimmered with colors like an opal, mostly pale blue with flashes of pink and purple when she moved. Her face had large dark eyes that reminded June of a bird's and a small beak-like mouth. Instead of hair, she had longer, more elegant feathers that fell around her face like a curtain. "Greetings," June said, bowing slightly. "I am June Kim, human diplomatic representative. You must be my escort to the meeting chambers." The Nilari didn't respond. She stood frozen in the doorway, her large eyes fixed not on June, but on Snowball. The feathers around her neck and head slowly rose, making her appear larger. June recognized this as a fear response, similar to how Earthbirds puffed up when threatened. "Are you well?" June asked, concerned by her reaction. The Nilari took a small step backwards, her hands, delicate things with 4 long fingers, trembling slightly. "Predator," she finally whispered, her voice musical but shaking with fear. "You have a predator in your quarters." June blinked in confusion before understanding hit him. Snowball. She was afraid of Snowball. "Oh. No. This is Snowball," June explained quickly. "He's not a predator. Well, technically his ancestors were, but he's a dog. A domesticated animal from Earth. He's completely safe." The Nilari didn't look convinced. Her feathers remained raised, and her body was tense, ready to flee at any moment. "I am Hana," she finally said, not taking her eyes off Snowball. "I was sent to guide you to the diplomatic meeting. I was not informed you would have a creature with you." June mentally kicked himself. He should have realized that a dog might appear threatening to some alien species. Humans were already seen as somewhat dangerous by many galactic races due to their physical strength and endurance. Having a descendant of wolves beside him probably didn't help that image. "Snowball is my therapy companion," June explained gently. "He helps me remain calm in new situations. He is very well trained and completely harmless." Hana's feathers lowered slightly, but she still looked unconvinced. "On my world, creatures with teeth like that hunt my people," she said quietly. June felt a pang of sympathy. No wonder she was frightened. To her, Snowball probably looked like a monster from her worst nightmares. "I understand," he said. "Would you prefer if I asked for another escort? Or I could kennel Snowball for now?" Hana seemed to struggle with herself. Her feathers flattened slightly as she took a deep breath. "No," she said firmly. I was chosen for this task because I studied humans extensively. I will complete my duty. She paused. But please keep the Snowball away from me. June nodded. Of course. Snowball, stay behind me. The dog, sensing the tension, lay down on the floor, making himself look as non-threatening as possible. June felt a surge of pride at how well-trained his companion was. Hana watched this with obvious surprise. It obeys you, she said. He, June corrected gently. And yes, we've been together for 5 years. We understand each other. Hana's head tilted in a gesture that reminded June of curiosity. The meeting begins in 20 minutes, she said, changing the subject. We should proceed to the diplomatic sector. Lead the way, June said, gesturing to the corridor. Snowball will stay behind me at all times. As they walked through the wide corridors of Harmony Station, June noticed how Hana kept glancing back at Snowball. Her fear seemed to be mixing with curiosity. May I ask a question? She said after a few minutes of walking. Of course, June replied. Why do humans keep predators as companions? It seems dangerous. June smiled. Dogs aren't predators anymore. Not really. Thousands of years ago, humans and wolves formed a partnership. Over time, wolves became dogs. They protected us, helped us hunt, and provided companionship. We provided food and shelter. A mutual benefit arrangement, Hana said thoughtfully. But it still has such sharp teeth. Dogs rarely use their teeth. Against friends, June explained. Snowball would never hurt anyone unless they were attacking me, and even then he's trained to only defend, not attack. Hana didn't look entirely convinced, but her feathers were now completely flat against her body, a sign she was less afraid. As they approached the diplomatic sector, June could see more Nylari gathered near the meeting room. They were all similar to Hana, small feathered beings with iridescent colors and graceful movements. When they noticed Snowball, there was a collective raising of feathers and a series of musical chirps that June's translator didn't catch. Hana raised a iame hand to her people and spoke quickly in their language. The other Nylari looked unsure but seemed to accept whatever she had told them. She turned back to June. I explained that the creature is your companion, not a threat. Thank you, June said sincerely. One of the other Nylari approached, looking at Snowball with obvious apprehension. Is it safe? The Nylari asked, their voice higher pitched than Hana's. June smiled reassuringly and placed a hand on Snowball's head. The dog sat obediently, his blue eyes calm. Don't worry, he won't bite, June assured the frightened alien. He's friendly. The words seemed to hang in the air. June didn't know it yet, but this simple phrase would mark the beginning of something, much bigger than a diplomatic meeting. It would be the start of an understanding between two very different species, bridged by trust, patience, and a fluffy white dog named Snowball. The diplomatic meeting room on Harmony Station was designed to make all species feel comfortable. The large circular table had sections adjusted for different body types. The lighting could change to suit different eyes. Even the air mix in various sections could be altered to help different beings breathe easily. June stood near the entrance with Snowball at his side, watching as the Nylari delegation settled on their side of the table. Their feathers shimmered with blues, purples, and pinks as they moved. It reminded him of fish in a coral reef. Hana remained close to June, though she still kept a careful distance from Snowball. She seemed less afraid now, but still watchful. Your people are beautiful, June said quietly. Hana's feathers rippled in what June guessed was the Nylari version of a smile. Thank you, she said. We find humans interesting to look at. June laughed softly. That's a polite way of saying we look strange to you. Not strange, Hana corrected. Just very different. You are so solid and tall. June nodded. He had learned in his briefings that most galactic species found humans intimidating. Humans came from what other species called a death world, a planet with high gravity, extreme weather, and many dangerous predators. This had made humans stronger and more durable than many other intelligent species. I was chosen for this mission partly because I'm considered small for a human male, June admitted. Hana's head tilted in surprise. You are small, but you tower over all of us. Compared to other humans, June clarified. They thought I might seem less threatening. Before Hana could respond, the head of the human delegation approached. Dai Kim was a short woman with gray in her black hair and the confident walk of someone used to being in charge. June, we're about to begin, Dai said. Her eyes moved to Snowball. Are you sure about having him here? The Nilari have been informed about Snowball, June said. He'll stay quiet during the talks. Dai nodded, though she didn't look entirely convinced. Just keep him close. As Dai walked away, Hana stepped closer to June. Is she your leader? Hana asked. For this mission, yes, June said. Ambassador Dai has been representing Earth in galactic matters for 15 years. She is smaller than you, yet she commands, Hana observed. This is different from what we expected of humans. What did you expect? June asked curiously. Hana's feathers fluttered in what seemed like embarrassment. We were told humans choose leaders based on physical strength, that your society is hierarchical, with the strongest ruling over others. June tried not to laugh. That might have been true thousands of years ago, but human society has evolved. We choose leaders based on their skills and experience, not their size or strength. Much like the Nilari then, Hana said, seeming pleased by this similarity. Though we have never valued physical strength, our world has few large predators, and our people have always relied on intelligence and cooperation. This explained a lot about why the Nilari seemed so fearful of humans and Snowball, June thought. They came from a world where they had few natural enemies. Meeting species from harsher worlds must be terrifying for them. Please take your seats, a neutral voice announced over the room's speakers. The diplomatic conference between humans and Nilari will begin in 2 minutes. June nodded to Hana. I should join my delegation, and I should return to mine, Hana agreed. She looked at Snowball once more, her head tilting in what June was beginning to recognize as curiosity. Your companion truly never attacks others? Never, June assured her. Dogs like Snowball are beloved on Earth because they're loyal and gentle. Hana seemed to consider this. Interesting. We have no such relationships with other species on our world. As June took his seat with the human delegation, he watched Hana join her people. The lead Nilari diplomat, Nari, was distinguished by deeper blue feathers and several shining bands around her slender arms. She was speaking quietly to her team, occasionally glancing at the humans with obvious caution. Snowball settled at June's feet, underneath the table where he wouldn't distract anyone. The dog seemed to understand the importance of being invisible during the talks. The meeting began with formal introductions. Ambassador Dai spoke first, welcoming the Nilari to the diplomatic table and expressing hope for friendship between their peoples. When Nari rose to speak, her musical voice filled the room. We thank the humans for this meeting, she said. The Nilari are a peaceful people. We seek understanding and harmony with all intelligent species. However, we must express our concerns about forming close ties with humanity. June noticed several members of the human delegation shifting uncomfortably. This was not the warm reception they had hoped for. Humans come from a world very different from ours, Nari continued. You are a species that evolved alongside predators. You are physically powerful. Your history contains much violence. These facts make many Nilari uneasy. Ambassador Dai maintained a diplomatic smile. We understand your concerns. It's true that Earth has shaped humans in ways that might seem frightening to others. But the same traits that helped us survive on our world, our adaptability, our persistence, our protective nature, these make us valuable allies. Nari's feathers fluttered. Perhaps, but the Galactic Council records show that when humans feel threatened, they can be unpredictable. The meeting continued this way for nearly an hour. The human delegation offered friendship and cooperation. The Nilari responded with polite but clear hesitation. June tried to follow all the diplomatic talk, but his eyes kept finding Hana among the Nilari. Unlike her colleagues, who seemed uniformly nervous around the humans. She watched with obvious curiosity. Occasionally her gaze would drop to where Snowball lay under the table. When the session broke for a rest period, June found himself alone near the refreshment table. Most of the humans and Nilari had separated into their own groups, still uncomfortable, mixing directly. He was surprised when Hana approached him. She carried a cup of what looked like glowing blue liquid. "Your dog," she said without preamble. "You said he helps you remain calm. How does this work?" June smiled, pleased by her interest. "Snowball is trained to sense when I'm feeling anxious. He provides comfort through his presence and touch. There's something about petting a dog that helps humans relax." "May I?" Hana hesitated, her feathers rippling with what seemed like nervousness. "May I observe this?" "Of course," June said. He knelt down and called Snowball, who trotted over immediately. Hana stepped back slightly but didn't flee. Progress, June thought. See how his tail wags. "That means he's happy," June explained as he stroked Snowball's white fur. "When I pet him, it releases chemicals in my brain that reduce stress. It's a biological response." Hana watched with obvious fascination. "And he truly enjoys this arrangement? Being your companion?" "Dogs and humans evolved together," June explained. "Over thousands of years we developed a special bond. Snowball is happiest when he's with me, and I'm happiest when he's with me too." Hana's head tilted in that now familiar gesture of curiosity. "A mutual benefit, like symbiosis." "Exactly," June agreed, pleased that she understood. Before they could continue their conversation, Ambassador Day called the delegations back to the table. As June walked back to his seat, with Snowball following obediently, he noticed several Nilari watching him and the dog with obvious interest rather than fear. Perhaps they were making progress after all. The diplomatic meeting had lasted for 3 hours. The room felt tense as both sides tried to find common ground. Ambassador Day was still speaking about trade possibilities, but June could tell the Nilari remained unconvinced. Nari, the lead Nilari diplomat, kept her feathers flat and her voice even, but her large eyes showed worry. "While we appreciate the offer of protection, we fear that human involvement might make our situation worse, not better." Day leaned forward slightly. "The reports we've received suggest the Vraken have already violated your border systems 3 times in the past year. Without meaning to offend, your defense capabilities are limited." Some of the Nilari ruffled their feathers at this statement. June winced. Though Dai was right, pointing out the Nilari weakness so directly wasn't helping. "We have managed our relations with the Vraken for centuries," Nari replied stiffly. "Their recent aggression is concerning, but not yet a crisis that requires outside intervention." June glanced at Hana, who stood near the wall with the other aides. She caught his eye and made a small gesture that he interpreted as sharing his concern about how the meeting was going. Ambassador Day opened her mouth to respond when the lights in the room suddenly flickered. A moment later, they dimmed to a deep red emergency setting. At the same time, June felt his stomach lurch as the gravity briefly cut out. Objects and people began to float upward before the gravity returned about 20 seconds later, causing everyone to drop back down. The humans, used to Earth's stronger gravity, landed easily. The lighter Nilari bumped back to the floor with more difficulty. A voice came over the station speakers. "Attention all personnel. We are experiencing a level 2 power fluctuation. Please remain where you are while engineering addresses the issue. This is not an emergency situation." Despite the announcement, the room erupted in confused chatter. The Nilari delegation seemed particularly distressed by the sudden change. Snowball, who had been sleeping under the table, was now alert and looking up at June with concerned eyes. "It's okay, boy," June said, patting the dog's head. "Just a technical problem." Ambassador Day stood up. "Perhaps we should take a break until the station systems are fully restored. We can resume our discussion in 1 hour." Nari agreed quickly, her feathers still puffed up from alarm. The Nilari delegation huddled together, speaking rapidly in their own language. June checked his datapad but found the network was down. That wasn't good. Power issues on space stations were always taken seriously, even when described as not an emergency situation. He looked around for Hana, wanting to ask if this kind of thing happened often on Harmony Station. He spotted her near the door, speaking with an older Nylari. She seemed upset, gesturing with her slender hands. June was about to approach when another gravity fluctuation hit, stronger this time. Everyone lifted off the floor again. Snowball gave a surprised bark as he floated upward, his paws paddling at the air. The room fell into chaos. The floating Nylari were spinning in the air, their feathers fully extended in panic. The humans were doing better, many of them having trained for zero-gravity situations. When the gravity returned this time, it came back harder than normal, creating a brief moment of higher-than-usual gravity. There were cries of pain and surprise as everyone fell. In the confusion, June lost sight of Hana. He helped Ambassador Day to her feet, then looked for Snowball. The dog was shaken, but unharmed. "June," Day said urgently, "find out what's happening. I need to keep the delegation calm." June nodded and headed for the door, Snowball following close behind. The corridor outside was dim, lit only by the red emergency lights. Several station staff were rushing past, heading toward what June presumed was the control center. He stopped one of them, a tall, thin alien with 4 arms. "What's happening?" "Power core fluctuation," the alien replied hurriedly. "Nothing to worry about, but we need to reset some systems." That didn't sound like nothing to worry about, but June didn't press further. The station crew member was clearly busy. As he turned to go back into the meeting room, he heard a sharp cry of pain from down the corridor. It sounded like a Nylari voice. "Hello?" June called out. "Is someone there?" No answer came, but Snowball's ears perked up. The dog turned and began trotting down the hallway. "Snowball, wait," June called, but the dog continued. With a sigh, June followed. The corridor branched into 3 directions. Snowball paused, sniffing the air, then took the left path without hesitation. June hurried after him, wondering what the dog had sensed. They passed several closed doors before Snowball stopped suddenly and gave a soft whine. He was looking at a small alcove in the wall, designed as a rest area with a bench. Huddled on the bench was Hana. Her wing-like arm was bent at an odd angle and her feathers were puffed out in distress. She was breathing rapidly, her large eyes wide with pain and fear. When she saw them, she pressed herself against the wall. "Stay back." June raised his hands in a calming gesture. "Hana, you're hurt. Let me help you." "I fell when the gravity returned," she said, her voice shaking. "I think my wing is broken. I got lost trying to find the medical bay." June took a careful step forward, but Hana shrank back. "Please," she said. "I know you want to help, but in my current state, I find your presence overwhelming." June understood. To a small injured Nylari, a human probably looked like a predator. He stepped back, giving her space. To his surprise, Snowball moved forward slowly. The dog's body language changed completely. His tail was low, his head down, making himself appear smaller and less threatening. "Snowball, come," June called softly. Worried the dog would scare Hana further, but Snowball ignored him. The dog approached Hana very slowly, then stopped about a meter away. He lay down on the floor, put his head on his paws, and simply looked at her with his blue eyes. Hana froze, watching the dog warily. For a long moment, neither moved. Then, to June's amazement, Snowball inched forward on his belly until he was beside the bench. He made no attempt to touch Hana, just settled there beside her, his body radiating warmth in the now chilly corridor. Hana's breathing gradually slowed. Her feathers began to lie flat again. She looked from Snowball to June in confusion. "He senses. You're hurt," June explained quietly. "This is what therapy dogs do. They provide comfort to those in distress." "He is not afraid of me?" Hana asked. June smiled. "No. And I think he knows you're afraid of him. That's why he's making himself small and non-threatening." As they watched, Snowball gave a tiny sigh and closed his eyes, still lying beside the bench. He looked completely at ease, as if guarding an injured friend was the most natural thing in the world. Hana stared at the dog in wonder. Slowly, hesitantly, she lowered her uninjured hand. It hovered in the air for a moment, then gently touched Snowball's fur. The dog opened one eye, his tail giving a single gentle wag, then closed it again as if to say, "It's all right, I'm here." June felt a lump in his throat as he watched the fear melt from Hana's face, replaced by an expression of awe. "He's so soft," she whispered. "May I approach now?" June asked gently. "We need to get you to the medical bay." Hana nodded, her eyes still on Snowball. "Yes, I think I understand now." June moved forward carefully and helped Hana to her feet. As they began walking slowly toward the medical bay, Snowball stayed right beside Hana, matching his pace to hers. "I was wrong about him," Hana said softly. "I saw only a predator. I did not see a protector." June wondered if she was still talking just about Snowball, or about humans too. Either way, something important had changed in that quiet corridor, illuminated by red emergency lights. The medical bay of Harmony Station was quieter than the rest of the station. The power issues had been fixed, and the normal white lights were working again. June sat on a bench outside the treatment room, with Snowball lying at his feet. 3. Door slid open, and a Nylari medical officer stepped out. Her feathers were a pale green color, different from the blues and purples of the diplomatic team. "You are the human who brought in Hana?" she asked. June stood up. "Yes. Is she going to be all right?" The medical officer nodded. "Yes. Her wing was not broken, just badly sprained. We have treated it with a healing wrap. She will need to rest it for several days, but there will be no lasting damage." June felt relieved. "That's good news, thank you, Doctor Sue." The medical officer supplied. "I am Chief Medical Officer Sue." She looked down at Snowball with open curiosity rather than fear. "This is the earth animal I heard about? The one that helped calm Hana?" "Yes, this is Snowball," June said. "He's a therapy dog." Sue tilted her head in the same curious gesture June had seen from Hana. "Fascinating. We have nothing like this on our world. May I examine him?" "Of course," June said. "He's very friendly." Sue knelt down, her movements graceful and light. Snowball watched her calmly, his tail wagging gently. The medical officer extended her hand slowly. When Snowball sniffed it, she made a musical sound that June's translator didn't catch. "His nose is cold," she observed. "That's normal for dogs," June explained. "It helps them sense the world around them." Sue gently touched Snowball's fur, her fingers exploring with scientific interest. "The texture is remarkable. And you say this creature evolved alongside humans?" "Yes. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors formed a partnership with wolves, which were wild predators. Over time, they became dogs, companions, protectors, workers." Sue stood up again. "Hana has asked to speak with you. She is resting now, but you may go in." June nodded his thanks. "Can Snowball come too?" "She specifically requested both of you," Sue said with what seemed like amusement. The treatment room was small but comfortable. Hana sat on an examination bed, her injured wing arm supported by a glowing blue wrap. Her feathers looked smoother, now more relaxed. When she saw June and Snowball, she straightened up. "Thank you for coming." "How are you feeling?" June asked. "Better," Hana said. "The pain medicine works quickly." She looked down at Snowball. "May he come closer?" June smiled and motioned to Snowball, who walked over to the bed. The dog sat beside it, looking up at Hana with friendly eyes. "The diplomatic meeting has been postponed until tomorrow," June told her. "The station needed time to check all systems after the power issues." Hana nodded. "That is probably for the best. I do not think today's discussions were going well." "No," June agreed. "There seems to be a lot of fear on both sides." Hana was quiet for a moment, looking at Snowball. Then she said, "I have been thinking about what happened in the corridor, about my fear, and about how Snowball responded to it. What conclusions have you reached? June asked. When I first saw Snowball, I saw only danger, Hana said. I saw his teeth and thought of predators from my world. I did not see his gentle eyes or his kind nature. She paused. I wonder if we Nylari are making the same mistake with humans. June sat down in a chair near the bed. What do you mean? The Vraken have been pressing against our borders for years, Hana explained. They want our resources. We are not warriors. We can protect ourselves with technology, but the Vraken grow more aggressive each year. That's why Earth offered an alliance, June said. We could help protect your systems. But many Nylari fear that human protection would be worse than Vraken aggression, Hana said. We see your physical strength, your history of conflict, and we become afraid, just as I feared Snowball. She reached out her good hand and gently touched Snowball's head. The dog leaned into her touch, his eyes half closing in contentment. But now I understand that the same strength that makes you dangerous could also make you protectors. Is that not true? June considered her words. Humans have a complicated history. We've fought many wars among ourselves, but we've also proven that we can grow beyond violence. We still have the capacity for it, but we choose cooperation when possible. Like wolves becoming dogs, Hana said thoughtfully. The capacity for danger remains, but it is channeled into protection. That's a good way to put it, June agreed. May I ask you something personal? Hana said suddenly. Of course. Why do you need Snowball? The other humans do not have animal companions. What makes you different? June hadn't expected this question. He looked down at Snowball, gathering his thoughts. I have a condition called anxiety, he explained. My mind sometimes believes there is danger when there isn't. It makes my heart race, my breathing change. Snowball helps keep me calm. He grounds me in reality. Hana listened with interest. So even among humans there are those who feel fear more strongly than others? Yes, June said. Humans vary greatly in their natures. Some are bold, some cautious, some aggressive, some gentle. This is also true of Nylari, Hana said. Though, as a species, we tend toward caution. She fell silent, stroking Snowball's fur. The dog had put his head on the edge of the bed now, completely at ease with her touch. There is something else I wish to tell you, Hana said finally. Something few outside the Nylari High Council know. June waited, sensing this was important. The Vraken have given us an ultimatum, Hana said, her voice lower. They demand access to our largest moon for mining operations. If we refuse, they threaten military action. When did this happen? June asked, surprised. 3 days ago. That is why this diplomatic meeting with humans is so crucial. The Nylari leadership is divided. Some believe we should give in to Vraken demands. Others think we should seek alliance with Earth despite our fears. And what do you believe? June asked. Hana looked at Snowball, who was now dozing under her gentle petting. Before today I feared humans more than Vraken. Now I'm not so sure. She raised her eyes to meet June's. The Vraken are predators who have never shown any interest in cooperation. They take what they want. But humans have shown the capacity to rise above their predator instincts, to form bonds with other species based on mutual benefit. That's what we're offering the Nylari, June said. A genuine alliance, not control, not domination, partnership. Hana nodded slowly. I believe you. After seeing how you treat Snowball, and how he responds to you with love rather than fear, I believe humans can be trusted. June felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Will you tell this to your delegation? Yes, Hana said firmly. When the talks resume tomorrow, I will ask to speak. My experience may help others see what I now see. As if understanding the importance of the moment, Snowball raised his head and gave a soft woof. Both June and Hana laughed, the tension breaking. I think he approves of our alliance, June said. Hana's feathers rippled in what June now recognized as a smile. Then it must be a good idea. He seems very wise for a creature with such a cold nose. The diplomatic meeting room looked different today. The lighting was warmer and someone had added plants around the edges of the room. The effect was more welcoming, less formal. June stood with the human delegation, Snowball at his side as always. Ambassador Day was speaking quietly with her team, reviewing their strategy for today's talks. "We need to address their fears directly," Day said. "Make it clear that we're offering protection, not control." June nodded. "I think that's wise, and we should be honest about the Vraken threat. Let them know we understand the difficult position they're in." Day gave him a curious look. "You seem to have gained some insight overnight." June thought about his conversation with Hana but kept his expression neutral. "Just thinking about how I would feel in their position." The doors opened, and the Nylari delegation entered. Their feathers shimmered in the warm light as they moved to their side of the table. June noticed Hana among them, her injured wing still wrapped in the glowing blue medical device. She caught his eye and gave a small nod. To June's surprise, several of the Nylari looked at Snowball with interest rather than fear. Word of what happened during the power outage must have spread. The meeting began formally, with Nari, the lead Nylari diplomat, speaking first. "We thank the humans for their patience yesterday. The station's technical issues were unfortunate, but they gave us time to reflect on our discussions." Ambassador Day inclined her head. "We're glad to resume our talks. Earth remains committed to finding a path forward that benefits both our peoples." Nari's feathers rippled slightly. "Before we continue with formal proposals, one of our aides has requested to address both delegations. This is unusual, but given the circumstances, I have agreed." June felt his heart beat faster as Hana stepped forward. She looked small and delicate standing between the two delegations, but her posture was straight, her feathers smooth with confidence. "Thank you, Chief Diplomat Nari," Hana said, her musical voice carrying clearly across the room. "I speak not as a diplomat, but as a Nylari who has learned something important about humans." She paused, looking around the room. "When I first met June and his companion Snowball, I was terrified. I saw only a predator. I did not see a protector." Her eyes found June and Snowball. "Yesterday, during the power disruption, I was injured and separated from our group. I was alone, in pain, and afraid. It was Snowball who found me. And in my moment of vulnerability, I saw the truth." Hana's feathers rippled with emotion. "The same creature I feared offered me comfort and protection. The same teeth I saw as dangerous were part of a being who wanted only to help." The room was silent, every eye on the small Nylari. "I believe we Nylari have been making the same mistake with humans," Hana continued. "We see their physical strength, their history of conflict, and we become afraid. We see teeth, not protection. We see predators, not potential allies." Several of the Nylari delegation shifted uncomfortably, but no one interrupted. "The Vraken threaten our borders," Hana said, her voice stronger now. "They demand our resources and threaten force. They are true predators who take without giving. Humans offer partnership. They have shown the capacity to rise above their instincts, to channel their strength into protection rather than domination." She looked directly at Nari. "I was wrong about Snowball. I believe we are wrong about humans." Nari's feathers fluffed, slightly, but she said nothing. The silence stretched for several seconds before Ambassador Day spoke. "Thank you for your honesty," she said to Hana. "It takes courage to change your mind, and even more to speak that change aloud." Nari finally spoke. "Hana's experience is compelling, but one interaction does not erase our concerns." "Of course not," Day agreed. "We don't ask for blind trust. We propose a measured alliance, beginning with cultural exchanges and limited defense agreements. Let us prove ourselves worthy of your trust over time." June watched the Nylari delegation closely. They were speaking quietly among themselves, their feathers rippling with different colors that he guessed reflected their emotions. Finally, Nari raised a slender hand. "We have concerns about the timing of this proposal. The Vraken have given us an ultimatum regarding access to our moon Lyra. They expect our answer within 10 days. Ambassador Day nodded calmly. We are aware of the Vraken demands. Earth is prepared to send a small peacekeeping fleet to your system immediately as a show of support, pending the finalization of our alliance. This caused a stir among the Nylari. They clearly had not expected Earth to know about the ultimatum, or to offer such immediate assistance. How did you know about the ultimatum? Nari asked, her feathers now fully raised in surprise. Day glanced at June, but said nothing. After a moment, Nari seemed to understand. I see, the lead diplomat said. Her gaze shifted to Hana, but there was no anger in her large eyes, only thoughtfulness. Perhaps, Nari said slowly, we should discuss the specific terms of this alliance. For the next 2 hours, the delegations worked through details. The Nylari gradually became more engaged, asking practical questions about Earth's military capabilities, communication protocols, and cultural expectations. By the time the meeting concluded, they had reached a preliminary agreement. Earth would send 3 ships to the Nylari system as a show of strength, while formal alliance papers were prepared. Additionally, a cultural exchange program would begin immediately, with a small group of humans traveling to the Nylari homeworld, and several Nylari coming to Earth. As the delegates filed out of the room, June found himself standing near Hana. Thank you, he said simply. Your words made a difference. Hana's feathers rippled in what he now recognized as a smile. I spoke only truth. Your Snowball taught me to look beyond my fear. Speaking of Snowball, June said, looking around. Where did he go? They found the dog near the refreshment table, sitting patiently beside Nari. The lead Nylari diplomat was cautiously extending a hand toward him. Is it truly safe? Nari asked as June and Hana approached. Completely, June assured her. Nari gently touched Snowball's fur. Her feathers fluttered in surprise. So soft. I expected something different. Many things are not what we expect, Hana said. Nari straightened up, her manner becoming formal again. The alliance we have begun today is fragile. There will be misunderstandings, perhaps even conflicts. Yes, June agreed, but we'll work through them together. As part of our agreement, Nari continued, we have requested that you serve as the primary human liaison to our world. Your understanding of our concerns and your gentle approach will help ease the transition. June felt surprised but pleased. I would be honored. And, Nari added with a glance at Snowball, your companion would be welcome as well. 3 days later, June walked through Harmony Station's arboretum with Hana and Snowball. The garden was designed to contain plants from many worlds, creating a peaceful space where all species could feel at home. Our ship leaves for Earth tomorrow, June said. The cultural exchange team is very excited to have you among them. Hana's wing was healing well. The medical wrap was gone, though she still held it carefully. I am nervous, but eager to see your world, to understand humans better. As they rounded a corner, they encountered a group of Nylari visitors. They stopped suddenly at the sight of Snowball, their feathers rising in the now familiar sign of fear. Before June could speak, Hana stepped forward. Do not be afraid, she said to her fellow Nylari. She placed her hand gently on Snowball's head. He is a friend to the Nylari. The visitors looked unsure, their large eyes fixed on Snowball. Hana smiled, her feathers rippling with confidence. Don't worry, he won't bite, she assured them. June watched as the Nylari slowly relaxed, their feathers settling. One brave soul stepped forward to touch Snowball's fur, making a sound of wonder at its softness. In that moment, looking at Hana and Snowball, June felt a sense of hope stronger than any he had experienced before. The path ahead would not be easy, but they had taken the first step toward true understanding, and sometimes that first step was all that mattered.